I'm the best Bob and the tallest Bob and the most majestic Bob. All other turtles are poor losers compared to me. With my mighty and wonderful tank, I get grapes. When I am a good boy, Mommy gives me grapes. And I love grapes. I love to eat grapes. And then I go on a sugar-fueled high around my tank. I'm a fast turtle, the fastest of all the turtles. Look at me, for I am majestic. It's been a minute since we had our little turtle mascot in a video. So, here he is. As majestic and wonderful as ever. So very tall. So very awesome. Hello the internet and welcome. So today I'm going to be putting on a face of makeup. I'm going to be using a little old, a little new, things that aren't new but they're new to me. Just a general array of products, many of which I have mentioned before, some of which I have not, and just kind of checking in on my thoughts, giving little mini reviews while I put on my makeup, because I feel like a lot of times we introduce stuff and we just never get back to it. I say we, I mean me. I introduce stuff and then never get back to it. So, we're going to be moving on. First step on this wonderful journey to a full face of makeup is primer. I'm going to be using The Ordinary's Silicone High Adherence Primer. I am attempting to pan this at the moment, and it has a white, kind of creamy consistency. You can definitely tell that there's silicone. It just kind of glides on and smooths out the skin. I don't think it does a very great job at pore filling, but that is just my opinion. It does definitely extend the wear of my makeup beyond a lot of other primers I've tried. I like it. The only major problem that I have with it is the smell. I have been using this for a few months now, and it still kind of smells like a factory that makes tires. It just has a really distinct scent to it that has not gone away, and it even lingers on the face for a while. So I like the way that it performs. I wish that it didn't have this weird chemical-y scent. Okay, I'm moving on to the foundation. So this is a new item. I picked up the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop foundation that just launched a few weeks ago. I have the shade Warm Vanilla here, and I feel like this is probably going to be better for me in the winter, but I have been using it. This is going to be like the 5th time that I'm using it, and I feel that the claim that it is full coverage is a lie. It is not. It is definitely medium, and it is buildable to an extent, but it just isn't a full coverage foundation for me. And I don't find it to be very matte either. It has more of a natural or even dewy finish. And obviously when I set it with a powder, it'll look matte and it'll last the way, a matte full coverage foundation should. As I go in and start to blend it out, I feel like it isn't a very thick foundation. And I have to really build it up to get to the point where I can't see anything through it. So I don't believe that it is a full coverage foundation, but it is very nice. It is comfortable. It does a good job of lasting throughout the day. So I don't hate it. As I said, it is just a little light for me at the moment. It's going to be a better winter shade. And it's not, for a matte full coverage foundation, is not drying at all. I do enjoy it. I definitely think that for $12 with the shade range and the performance, Nyx and Alyssa Ashley freaking nailed this collaboration. It is amazing. I just disagree with some of the claims on the bottle. Okay, so now my base is on. I'm going to be moving on to concealer. So I have the AOA Studios, this is the Shop Miss A brand, Wonder Cover concealer. This comes in, I want to say, 24 shades. There's a really nice gradient. When I did my Shop Miss A unboxing, I did bring up that for a $1 concealer, there's definitely a decent gradient. So I like the fact that, you know, it says it's a warm tone. It definitely is a warm tone. I like the fact that it does provide very good coverage. And I like the shade range of the product overall. What I do not like, however, is how quickly it dries. If you'll notice, I'm doing one eye at a time, because if I do both, by the time I get to blending them out, one side, usually the first side, will have completely set by that point. So it is a very dry formula, and it sets very, very quickly. So you can't turn your face into an art project and expect the product to still be movable when you're done. Okay, so we have our foundation, we have our concealer, primers underneath. Next up, before I move on to powder, contour, and the rest of the face stuff, I'm going to be applying the Revolution Beauty baking powder. This is their luxury baking powder. I have never been one to jump on fads as soon as they arise. I have not been big on the whole baking thing. I legitimately did not understand what the point was. But recently, especially since getting this powder, I've noticed that it really does create kind of a smoother surface. All those pores and texture don't exist anymore. So it definitely has its uses. I'm not going to knock it or the people that do choose to bake. It's not something that I'm going to do every single day, but every once in a while, I can see the appeal. Okay, baking is done, face is set. We are moving on to contour. So this is the Oakland contour palette. I have no earthly idea what this is supposed to be duping. It's just 3 different tones. You have your light, your medium, your dark. You know, the contour powder and, you know, a lighter setting powder / highlight, however you want to look at it. It has a mirror, but the mirror is just about useless. So I do enjoy the consistency of these powders. They actually remind me a lot of the Smashbox step-by-step contour palette. Not just, you know, with the 3 different tones, but just the formula, the powder's consistency is very similar. It's just a very finely milled, very easy to work with powder. So I actually do enjoy this a lot. I'm trying to get through a couple of other contour and bronzing products before I dive into this, but I do like it a lot. So I am actually going to be using the lightest options. I mean, I can get away with the medium, but I'm not trying to chisel out my face right now. For the record, the contour brush that I am using is actually by AOA Studio as well. It is the High Def brush F3. So this is their thicker, angled contour, powder, what have you brush. I had bought this in part of my Shop Miss A haul, and I had also bought the smaller version, which is the E103, but same basic shape. And I have been using them nonstop since I purchased them because they are amazing. They just are. Using my blending sponge to clean things up just a bit. In case I forgot to mention this earlier, the blending sponge is also AOA Studios. It's the Paw Paw Wonder Blender. This is the $1.55 blending sponge, and a portion of the proceeds go to animal charity, and that's not a bad thing. This is literally the softest sponge that I own, and despite its very light color, I've been able to get most of the staining out every time I clean it. So I would highly recommend this. It is very inexpensive, and it's awesome. Okay, I'm going to let the face sit for a minute, and I'm going to jump up to the eyes. I'm going to be doing eyebrows first. So this is the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Retractable Brow Pencil. I have this in the shade Ash Brown. So I picked this up when I was picking up items for the Zodiac collection, and I don't hate it. It is definitely a bit softer than many of the brow pencils that I've tried, but it isn't like ColourPop soft, if that makes sense. It still has a shape. You don't deposit too much color as you're working it into your brows, and it definitely doesn't smear or smudge throughout the day. So I definitely enjoy it. I don't have a problem with it, and I think that the shade match is pretty darn awesome, to be completely honest. Okay, so after doing my brows, we are going to set my brows. We have the Rude Eyebrow Gel Mascara. So it is literally just a clear brow gel. I have been using it quite a bit, so it looks kind of gross. The top half is kind of brown from my brow product, which is, yeah, definitely a little gross, but I don't think there's much you can do about that. I think in the future I will stick to brands that sell their clear brow gel in an opaque container so that I can't actually see what's going on, because if I don't know, it's not happening. While this definitely does a good job at holding my brows in place, it is a little bit more crunchy than some of the other clear brow gels that I've tried. Okay, so we have a couple of options for eyes. We have something that is legitimately new, the Midnight Chaos palette by NYX, that I don't want to use. I've never returned a makeup item, but I legitimately want to take this back. It's only $11, and that is what's stopping me. Like, I don't want to look petty. I know that if I don't return it, it's going to get thrown out. I don't have anyone to really give makeup to, and even if I did, I would not subject them to that palette, so it's probably going to go in the trash. And I know it's going to go in the trash either way, but if I return it, I get my $11 back. So I'm torn. It's hard. So we have the Midnight Chaos palette by NYX, and then we have BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. I did an entire week's worth of looks with this palette. More than a week's worth. I had over 9 looks when I did a little collage for my final review. And I've played with it sporadically since then, but it'd be nice to pick it up and, bring it out. It is a very, very pretty palette. I feel like they did a wonderful job of providing you with colorful shades that aren't just shimmers. I'm going to use this, but I will bring in at least 1 or 2 shadows from the Midnight Chaos. Even if it hurts me and makes me angry, I'm going to do it. So, let's get started doing my eyes. Okay, so my eyes are primed with a concealer using the AOA Studio Wonder Cover. This, speaking of new things, is the 10-piece brush set that I had purchased. It's another one of the Pawpaw Cherry type things on Shop Massé. So they all started off white, and some of them are not anymore, and I will clean them, but I'm very much doubting that I will get them back to white. Which makes me sad inside, but that is life. C'est la vie. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a fluffy blending brush, and I'm going to be going into the shade Candy up here, because I had said that was a good shade to throw in the crease. Okay, so now we have our crease shade down, and I just realized what I forgot to do. So While I'm doing the rest of my makeup, I typically like to use that time to prime my lips. I will either use a lip oil or a plumping lip gloss. In this case, I'm going to use another new-ish item. This is the Milani Keep It Full Nourishing Lip Plumper. This is in the shade Luminoso. I have been loving the heck out of this. Unlike the Buxom and even the NYX lip glosses, this doesn't have that really intense tingle, meaning it doesn't do as much in terms of plumping your lips. However, it is extremely moisturizing and it is a very nice prep step. If I'm not using the Ulta Beauty lip oil, I will most certainly be using this. So it imparts just a tint of color. Mostly it's just shine and moisturizing. Anywho, digression aside, back to the eyes. So I am looking at the Midnight Chaos palette. I have tried one look with this and it made me hate myself and everything about my makeup abilities, just because the mattes are kind of hard to blend out and the shimmers are just a giant mess. Like with a glitter primer and wetting my brush and being careful, it was just Fallout City. So I am, once again, not in love with this, but I'm thinking, let's go blue and brown, blue and orange. Let's do blue and orange. I will somehow get the matte blue in that palette, in the Midnight Chaos palette, to work. I would use the blue in the Weekend Festival palette, but this is actually a shimmer. So out of the 3 blues in the palette, this one is matte, and that kind of matches in tone with the one on top, and then the one right next to it is a shimmer. I don't hate the layout by any means. Once again, I think they did an amazing job with this palette, but I feel like they could have done some swapping. I feel like maybe a couple of the shimmer shades didn't need to be shimmers, is what I'm getting at. I will link my full review down below and I will stop talking about this because I could probably go on a lot longer than I need to, and you don't want that, so I will stop. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a smaller fluffy crease brush. I'm going to be dipping into the shade Hippie. Fun fact, I felt like a hippie all day because I wore a flowy dress and a high-waisted tight belt and leggings and boots and a cute little necklace, and my hair was down. Yeah, I just felt like a hippie all day. I'm going to be going in with another small, fluffy, slightly more dense crease brush. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put this down, even though I desperately want to dip into Hipster or Escape. I'm going to put this one down. I'm going to pick up the dreaded NYX Midnight Chaos palette, and I'm going to be going into this reddish brown down here. This one has made me angry the last time I tried to use it, so we are just kind of going to hope. And I'm going to be placing this in the outer V. I will never understand people that say blending is my cardio. If you are getting winded and your heart rate is elevated, making small circles with a object in your fingers, you probably have bigger problems than any of us could hope to help you with. I will say that blending is a nice way to ensure that your carpal tunnel flares. That is definitely a thing. I need to go back in with the orange, clean up a little bit, buff out the edges. I am less angry with this than I was with my previous attempt, which is, it's good. We'll see what I feel like in the end, but right now I feel like if the best thing I have to say is I hate this less, it's still a shitty palette. But I'm gonna shut up. We're gonna finish this look, and then I will judge it. Okay, so I am content with the way that my eyes are looking at the moment. I do still have some lid space. That's what we're going to be working with. I'm going to be going into this matte blue and the Midnight Chaos palette, and I'm just going to be crossing my fingers that it does not get patchy and gross and make me regret all of my decisions today. So, I feel like I'm having kind of the same problem. It's a little bit easier when I'm just working with my lid. I'm not trying to blend into the crease or blend up towards the brow bone. It is a little bit easier to layer this down with a flat shader brush. However, if you're looking at it, you can still kind of see different levels of pigmentation. Like you can see where I put my brush down here, you can see where I put my brush down here, and as I tried to drag the color and pat the color, there are areas that have less pigment, less powder, because this just, it is a pigmented palette, I will give it that. It swatches terribly. I put up swatches on Instagram, it swatches fucking horribly. However, it is definitely a pigmented palette. The problem is, it is kind of powdery, and wherever you put your brush down, that is where the color wants to stay. So even if you're going at it from a thought process of start small and build it up, you're still going to have to be very careful that you're evenly distributing the product, because if you think that you're just going to lightly pat, you're going to end up with patchy, streaky eyeshadow where it's not, one consistent color, the way that like the BH palette just blended out, and I got my entire crease done in a matter of seconds, and it was flawless. It was all one continuous color, despite putting my brush down in one place and sweeping and making small circle motions to the next. Oh, this is making me hate the palette just a little less though. I feel like it's not easy, but I feel like it at least is trying. Okay, so I figured that I would get closer for this and just kind of show you up close what we're working with in terms of the Midnight Chaos palette. So when I look up, you can see there is definitely blue fallout. I really wasn't going wild and crazy with it. I was just using a flat shader brush and applying it exactly where I wanted it. And I am still dealing with fallout. I was careful, and I'm still dealing with fallout. So that's definitely something to worry about. Like I said, very, very pigmented shadow. It's going to be an issue if you're not super careful, even if you are. But if you look at my eyes, you can still see some areas where the color is not uniform. It really just isn't smooth, despite my best efforts. And that is what you're dealing with when it comes to these shadows. You can either accept that or not buy the palette, I guess. If I'd known that this was the formula of the NYX shadows, I don't know that this is a palette I ever would have picked up. It's very inexpensive. I'm glad that I have it as a reference point, but I'm not all that impressed with the quality of the mattes or the shimmers, to be completely honest. I had originally said blue and gold, blue and brown, blue and orange, something. So I'm going to be using this peachy shimmer shade down here. I will go ahead and swatch it for you just so that you can see what it looks like when applied with the fingers. And I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not outstanding either. I was just expecting so much more from this palette, you guys. So much more. Anywho, so I'm going to be going in with the NBA Cosmetics Glitter Foil and Line FX. This is a no bullshit glitter glue. This is an adhesive. This is not playing around with a tacky primer. If this does not make these shadows stick to my eye without turning into a disaster, nothing will. I have yet to find a better glitter adhesive than this. And it does wonders on shimmers, it does wonders on metallics. It will fix anything. And if it does not work with these freaking shimmers, there's nothing more I can do. Okay, so I'm going to be taking the brush. I am using a very small e.l.f. brush. This is their concealer brush. Not using it for concealer. And I'm going to be using this to apply that peachy shade to the center of my lid, because why not? So first I'm putting down just a layer of the adhesive. Then I am going to be going into our shimmer shade here and making a giant mess. And I'm going to be laying it down over our glitter glue. And then I'm going to get angry. I'm going to switch brushes. So it's kind of hard to see, but it is very chunky, and it has a tendency to kind of fall apart as you're attempting to pick it up. Like it comes up in chunks. So I'm using a denser shader brush. This is another e.l.f. brush. Does not give me the name of it. Can't help you there, sorry, but we're trying this now. I mean, by sheer surface area, it's at least putting down more product. I feel like this did not work out the way I intended. Be right back. I'm going to try and fix this up just a little bit, and then I will let you know if I was successful. Or you will see if I was successful and then laugh, probably. Okay, so once again, I'm doing that closer thing so that you can see what I see just a little bit better. So after a lot of blending, a lot of building, a lot of attempts, this is what we have. I mean, yeah, there's still fallout on my face and all that good stuff, and the blue and the brown together still don't look amazing, but again, this is as good as it's gonna get. Okay, so now my goal is going to be to try and clean up the edges, deal with the fallout, and then we will come back and do the lower lash line. You know those people who insist upon making life harder for themselves even when they don't have to, when it serves no purpose? Hi. So I've taken this time to use the NYX white liquid liner as a base, and then a combination of the glitter adhesive and this now very messy white shade to create a cut crease style liner, because I don't know. But yeah, now back to reality. The lower lash line that I had mentioned earlier that we were going to do, and then I went off on a tangent. So I'm going to go back in with the shade Hippie and we'll just use this flat liner brush, and we are going to place this along the bottom lash line as a bright pop of orange, because I wanna. Okay, and then because I don't know how or when to quit, I'm going to be taking another liner brush and dipping into the shade down here. This is Palooza. It's bright blue. I don't know how well it's gonna match, but we're going to be taking that on another small pencil brush and applying that roughly the same way that we just applied Hippie. Only I will be smoking the shade out. And also bringing it up, I guess, to meet the... I don't know anymore. I'm just throwing colors on my face. Please, for the love of God, someone help me. Okay, I'll be taking my fluffy blending brush and just kind of buffing out the edges here. Blending out the whole lower lash line just a bit. To the outer corner. God, I love these brushes. So it's a little bit muddy, but considering the entire look is a little bit muddy, I'm going with it. Now we need to do a was gonna add liner as well as mascara, but since I already have the cut crease thing going on, I feel like I've packed enough on my eyes. I'm just going to be doing mascara, so hold that thought. Okie dokie. So, I have applied mascara. I am using the Wet n Wild Mega Slim Skinny Mascara. Pretty much everybody has to come out with their own version of a skinny mascara now. The wand for this one is definitely larger than the wand for the NYX Skinny Mascara and the other AOA Studio one, and there's at least one more. But this is a thicker wand, and it does kind of cover more surface area, so you can still get, you know, up close and personal, really near to the lash line to get, you know, from root to tip application of mascara. But it's a little bigger, it's a little thicker, it's a little longer. Use that. Using another product that is kind of new to me, not new in general, and that's the NYX Worth the Hype mascara. I do like this, but it is not small or delicate enough to be used on the lower lash line. I think not by a long shot. So definitely need to go in with something smaller first. Okay, a couple more steps and then we're done. We're going to be using a highlighter. At the moment we are using the Wet n Wild Mega Glow. This is their bar highlight. This is from the Zodiac collection. It is the Air palette. I will be using the e.l.f. highlighting brush because it is amazing. Picking up some product, you get a lot of product when you go into this, so be wary. As I said in my first and last impressions, if the eyeshadow just would have behaved like this, it wouldn't have ended up in the trash. But what are you gonna do? Okay, all the other good spots. Nose, Cupid's bow. I feel like even in situations where I do use a smaller brush, I still can't get a lot of precision with this powder. I feel like it just spreads. I love the look of it. I'm not complaining about the product itself. I feel like the powder has a tendency to spread out and just illuminate everything, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but like if I want that, I have other options. So I love the highlighter. I don't love the fact that I feel like the powder just goes where it wants to once it's applied, but that's moving on. Lips. So this is a new product. This is the NYX Slip Tease Lip Lacquer. This one is in the shade Camel. The shape of this obviously is a really cute little hourglass. As you can see, and it's very pliable. It will bend quite a bit, so you can really get around your lip line and get a decent application without having to use a brush. So, some important things to note with this lip lacquer. Number one, if you do not like scented cosmetics, you will not like this. It is a vanilla scent mixed with like a spearmint. I was about to say if that makes sense. That makes no sense, but that is what they have done. It is a minty vanilla, and it has the tingling sensation of a lip plumper. I don't believe that it really does a whole lot to plump your lips, but they're very, very strong colors, very opaque formula. It applies on, you can generally just do one coat and get a really smooth, even application. I love the crap out of these. Like, I think that these are amazing. I really do hope that they expand the shade range to like more warm tones, more peaches, things like that, because I would very much go back and purchase more of these. You can see this final look. I will throw up close-ups so that you can see like what everything looks like at this exact moment. So that concludes my little put on makeup, give you small reviews that turned into long reviews, and I did a look and I showed you how to do the look, and it was kind of disappointing because the palette I used is shitty. But I hope that you enjoyed it anyway. I hope that I amused you or imparted some knowledge onto you, and everyone can leave just a little bit happier or more entertained than when they arrived. I hope that you have a wonderful day or night, depending on when you are watching this video. I would be very, very happy if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, do all that good stuff, because apparently it does something in the YouTubes, and then other people see the video and then they might like it and subscribe, and then eventually I can quit doing my real job and just play with makeup all day. Like, help me live the dream, guys. I'm not the boss of you. I can't tell you what to do. But if you could help me live this dream, I don't even know. I don't even know, man. On that note, I will probably be doing another giveaway soon, because I have quite a few products that I've just been like putting together in little goodie bags that I would like to give away. So that will probably be happening soon, and by soon, sometime in the next, I don't know, month or two, because I'm very bad with the word soon. It's like several. Do you mean 3 or 7? Yeah, so again, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great night or day or whatever, weekend. Peace out.